hand. Maybe I'm here and I make that little seatbelt. I slide my knee up without breaking any connection. I bring my knees together and I bring this arm down to the ground and I come back and I reestablish this side control, right? So just trying to close up space. The cleaner you are and the less space that you have in these movements, the less likely he is to escape. Now, I don't have to worry so much about my roots here, right? If I'm even here, for one, I've got those hands to post, and his arm is glued to the ground, so he's not going to be able to roll me. So we're quite a bit safer here. We've got pretty good control here. My coach has had me here several times, and I think I've escaped once, maybe twice from this position. So it was not an easy task, and he does this every fucking time you roll. So I flick in, right? So I extend this leg back, I flick this one in, so I've still got that bicep trapped. I'm gonna extend out, so I've got like kind of this knee right-ish kind of side control position here. I'm gonna bring that wrist up using that C-grip. Right? Now I can extend it like I'm sliding into home plate, and I've got this wrist now separating from his body, and he's glued to the ground with my hip and my knee here. So from here, I'm gonna maybe start to sit up, and he knows that the armbar is coming, so maybe he tries to dump me off that way. So I'm gonna take this leg out, and as he dumps me out, I'm gonna hook the back of his head. We'll see how well this can be demonstrated here, right? So, I was here, he starts to dump me over, I open up my legs, and I hook the back of his head, and he's usually gonna come up here, but I'm gonna be able to start to set up this triangle choke, okay? So, and we'll go over the fish of the triangle again here in a second, but here we are. We have that side control. Hook here, post here, slide up, knee right. My foot is tucked. My weight is on my partner. It's not on this leg. This leg is blank. I can move it around. Post, so he can't shift and roll. I separate his arm down to the mat. Boom. I reestablish side control. I extend my leg, flick my foot in, and now open up some space. Collect that wrist if you can. Now I'm going to slide through and get into this position where I've got control of his arm. It's going to be really hard for him to pull that arm back. I'm going to post on his chest, sit on his chest. He knows the arm bar is coming, so he starts to dump me over. I'm going to take my leg and I'm going to roll up with him and get into this triangle position. Now that we're in this position, I imagine that I've got a head in between my leg. This is going to be like his right shoulder if he's facing down, right? So generally speaking, in this position, I tend to find that I've got a pretty good triangle to begin with. But if I need to adjust, I'm going to take, before I let go of this leg, I'm going to take my other hand, I'm going to grab my ankle. Step, keeping my leg close to my foot, like there's actually connection here. So I don't want to make this big space, because you might be able to start to escape that arm. So I want to keep that close to there, right? Now, I can underhook his leg if it's available, but I can usually shift my weight, and that's going to move my leg across the back of his neck nice and cleanly there. And then I can re-lock up once I know that triangle's good. Now from here, I'm going to bring my hips up. And usually what that does is it makes his arm flop around really awkwardly here. And it's going to be really hard for him to actually control where that arm goes. So I'm going to take that arm, I'm going to move it across my body, and I'm going to do a little crunch here, right? So I'm pinching between this floating rib and my hip, that arm. So if he wants to pull it back out, it's going to be relatively difficult here. Now, the arm in a triangle choke is really there so he can't escape his head very easily. I think I mentioned in the head scissor video that, like a straight head scissor is relatively easy to escape, especially if you're trying to attack it from the guard position, which is basically where I am now, right? This is a guard triangle. I just entered it from not guard. But if he were to try to, stack me and grab a hold of my hips and turn his body, I'm going to be pried out of that. Or if I'm trying to escape, I'm doing that. I'm going to be able to pry out of that straight headlock pretty easily, or straight head scissor. So not a really effective hold, especially from the guard position. You want to make sure that you can limit his mobility and able to basically stack you. So from here, I digress. I've got this triangle choke. I've got this arm pinned across my body. I flick my leg out, and then I start to cricket my legs to close up that space, right? If I need to, I can grab his pant leg, I can grab his inner thigh here if it's available. I can grab his under the other shoulder or whatever, and just pull myself more perpendicular. The more perpendicular you are, the tighter this triangle choke is generally going to be. If I can get 90 degrees, I will. Usually 45 is enough. So from here, notice my boots on both legs, and I'm sliding my legs together. I'm not necessarily trying to roll them in like I'm trying to adduct here, right? So, punching bag Paul, you are a mess here. All right. So, he's taking defensive position here. He's got both his elbows up. I've got my side control position. I create that little seatbelt. I post onto his shoulder. I slide up without breaking connection. I get connection under his hip with my foot. I got my knee on his belly, preferably being near his sternum. I bring both legs together, keep my head in that box, hands on shoulder and hip. I slide that down. I reestablish side control. I flick in. I extend that leg back. I open up some space, get that leg in. Now I grab the shoulder, extend through, and I've got this grip here. Post, sit up. I know it's a lot of steps. Practice, it'll make sense, right? So I got here, and then he starts to sit up to prevent that armbar. So I slide off, and I hook under his head with this leg, right? And a lot of times he's going to continue rolling, so he's going to be belly down now, right? So from here, if I have a shitty triangle, I adjust, right? I take this hand, reach across, grab my own shin, step out, keep connection there, and then I start to reach for whatever I can grab or just shift myself over so I get that angle. And now my leg, my shin, is perpendicular to his neck. It's a right angle on his neck. Now I bring this back over and I lock up, boots on. I bridge up, move the arm to the other side, pinch it between my ribs and my leg, right? If I can have lost that angle for whatever reason, I do something to get it back. You don't necessarily have to. And then I start to cricket my legs. Now, you'll see a lot of times in competitions, and a lot of people will pull down on the head. Here's the reason for that, right? Well, where do we start this video? Or this series? Your arteries are right here, right? I need to close up space. I've created a triangle, so there's a little wedge, and I'm bringing the neck down and into that. So by pulling down the head, you're actually pulling that neck down into that position. But you're also doing what the head needs to do in order to escape. If he's tucking his chin and you're pulling down on his head, you're actually helping him escape his head out. So if you can finish a triangle without pulling down the head, it's going to be better. But sometimes people are a pain in the ass. So we are belly down here. I'm squared up to him now, right? Maybe I can't get that angle for whatever reason. And I've got this triangle set up, so I do everything I can to clean it up. I start to cricket in, but it's hard at this angle to really do it well. So what can I do? I can start pulling down that head and driving my hips up to finish that triangle. But again, I'm giving him the opportunity to escape by doing that. All right, we are going to make an attempt on the next video to show an omoplata with the dummy. This is going to be challenging. Let's see how it works.